Hey guys, and this is Hangar Ready. I'm here today with my co-hosts. The first one being Jolly01. Say hi, Jolly.
How you guys doing tonight?
My second one would be Numidius rejoining us for a second week in a row, or second month in a row.
Hey there.
And then finally, the goofball himself, Shapcap,
Hey guys, how's it going?
or as the people on Something Awful call him, the douchebag with the top hat.
That's me.
And let's take show us all. So we're here to talk. Hangar Ready is this talk show that we put together to to talk about Star Citizen from a different angle. Talk about it from the organizational, from the organized gameplay angle, that kind of stuff. Instead of the this pie in the sky, a more realistic look at how ships are going to be utilized by groups of players. So our first topic for tonight, and let me mention, we're going to be doing questions and answers at the end. So if you have any questions during the thing, go ahead and get them in chat. Our lovely chat moderators, which is Turing and Frostzone, will be helping us out and recording those for us. And I'll also be watching them here. So our first topic for tonight is what's new in 3.7 with mining in caves. So, Jolly, what you and I went on a cave run a week ago. You've been in a couple of times. What do you think of the cave system so
I've
far?
been there a few times. I like them. They're fairly linear. You can get lost, but for the most part, it's pretty much a one-way down, one-way up type of thing. Watch out for the holes in the floor. But overall, it's pretty much safe. It's a good plus to the game. I'm glad to see it. A lot more of the ground game play as opposed to space play. A little bit more to do if you're the single person or working as a group for the mining efforts. And the payoff's been pretty good if you want to go and gather up some of the minerals that are out there. A little difficult to find. You got to pay a little attention out there. I wouldn't waste your time too much with the flora that's out there, but the minerals themselves are good and worth your time. You need to come back with a full backpack and make quite a few thousand AUEC currently in the alpha. So I think it was a plus on it, and I'd recommend it if you haven't done it.
Definitely. And let's go to four-way, please, so they can see all of us chatting.
Hey.
Hey. I really like the caves. I agree completely. I was surprised. I thought it was going to be kind of goofy gameplay. And, I kind of like it. There are a ton of bugs, though. Namidius, have you gotten to do any? And what's your number one annoying bug?
With the mining?
Yeah.
Well, with the caves, obviously, it's the getting stuck in the terrain inside where they have an area you're obviously intended to crawl through. But if you make the mistake of standing up, it will let you, and then you're stuck in the terrain, and you basically have to kill yourself or just restart your game. And that's the most annoying to me. But other than that, I love it. I mean, it's a good entry. It's a good mechanic that is accessible. You don't have to have a prospector, which costs close to 200 in the real world or 2 million alpha UEC
some
in
I think
ridiculous
it's
amount.
155.
Is it 150? Okay.
155
In
real
any
world,
case, it's very accessible to somebody that all they have is an Aurora or a Mustang. All they need to do is earn some one or two missions, and they can get themselves a mining tool, the bit, and a pack, and they're good to go. They take a investigate mission, which gets them to one of the caves that isn't marked, so they're less likely to get griefed. And they got a reasonable chance of walking out of there with 20 or more K in minerals.
Yeah. The payout on these is so much higher than I thought it would be, and I'm sure that's to get us to go and do it. But it's a refreshing change or something you can go play in a small group, and it be kind of slow paced, and you don't have to worry about getting waylaid by griefers.
Yeah, the one thing you mentioned there in terms of equipment, the backpack is something you definitely want to get. Now it's a little over 3,000 AUEC, but its carry weight I believe is 120. And what you may go ahead and experiment what equipment you may have. Put the torsos on for your armor and see how much your carry weight is. Same way you do it any other way. Put the torso on, hit the I key, see what you can carry. You'll find a lot of you're down about 10 as opposed to 120.
10 or 20, 10 or
Yep.
20, depending.
Yep.
And I don't think they're necessarily intended to be what they are now. They're just playing with the numbers. You can have two armors that are both medium armor. And the one that costs more might have less carry capacity than the one that costs less. So it doesn't make a lot of sense from a game balance point of view. They're still working on this.
Well, like everything, Star Citizen numbers are always getting tweaked one way or another. Something's either OP for one patch and then it's totally nerfed for the next, and something gets
Yep.
bugged so it doesn't affect shields at all or whatever. So, take all that with a grain of salt.
If they do it right, there should never be the perfect solution. The perfect
Right.
set of armor that has great carrying capacity, great armor protection, doesn't cost too much. Never do something like that. You got to be
come
able
on.
to make your
Yeah.
decisions.
You should always have super overpowered
No.
stuff.
No
Yeah.
easy buttons.
I hope none of the min-max players hear you.
No,
lose their minds.
no. Well, min-max is fine. It's max are the people I'm worried about.
Yeah.
So, so my biggest bug, I'm going to be honest, is really simple. It's the double pickup animation is driving me crazy.
Yes.
You reach down, you pick it up the first time, and then you reach down to try to grab it again.
Yeah.
It's so annoying.
Yeah, I've had to
Some
break
of those. Are you sure you're not actually picking something up? Because sometimes there's rocks have fallen into the just under the texture. It's actually there, and you can grab it. You just can't see it.
I'm 1,000% sure.
Okay.
I hit the animation, I go down, I pick it up, and without touching my keyboard, I go down and try to pick it up again.
Yeah. You know what I would like to see too is I'd like to see the quick flare glow sticks actually last longer than a real glow stick that we have like right now with our 2019 technology. I'd like to think that the space glow stick could last longer than the Chem Light glow sticks we have today.
Last longer. They don't even last half as long.
No, they last like 10 minutes or 20 minutes, whatever. They last nowhere.
Yeah, they're
near
ridiculous.
as long as
And
they should.
meanwhile, there's flares down there left by NPCs that apparently burn forever. So
Yeah. Fusion powered flares.
Fusion power flares, and we don't even have chem lights that work correctly.
Exactly.
Those are the big things. The other bug that I really noticed, and this is weird, is that if you have a gun in your hand and you go from your rifle and you hit the number 4 key to pull out your tool, multi-tool, sometimes your rifle just goes poof and disappears.
Yeah.
And that's happened to me twice. And it just goes away. And what we learned is if you hit the R key and put the rifle away and then pull out your multi-tool, it doesn't happen.
Yeah, I haven't had to run around with the rifle too much. I've got the first time I was super nervous and I went in there with the rifle out. But after that, I just, I mine with the tool, holster the tool, pick up the stuff, run to the next spot, pull out the tool again, mine with the tool, repeat.
That's just one of those persistent issues they have in the game, though, where with the weapons specifically. I mean, even before we got the multi-tool and everything, there's a bug where you switch between weapons enough times. Very soon, at one point, one or more of those are going to get dropped, disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
And but that's been around for a long time. It's just exhibiting itself with the multi-tool now. So
it's annoying.
You can open the Moby glass when you have a weapon drawn, and you might lose the weapon. That's been an issue in the past.
Could be that we're seeing more people use FPS weapons. And by FPS weapons, I mean the tool counts as a weapon. Maybe not a lot of people weren't getting engaged in PvP actions, so they weren't really interacting with weapons so much. So now we're actually seeing it because people are pulling out the thing and using it, whereas they normally wouldn't. So maybe we're seeing it a little more now.
One thing I'd say I'm bringing a weapon in is take your default pistol you get when you start the game and just put an underbarrel flashlight on it. The extra light does help a little bit. And if you lose it, who cares?
Yeah.
Well, but your helmet's got a light on it. It's just as good as the underbarrel.
But take 2 over 1, though.
Oh, that's true.
One is
I've
done.
just never had the helmet light stop working, whereas I've lost the pistol.
Neither have I. I just want more light, that's all.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah.
So, and as Frostzone, one of our chat moderators, is happy to tell us, the G key is awful close to the F key. And I can admit that is actually true, seeing as Frostzone killed a bunch of us the other night while we were streaming by hitting the G key instead of the F key. I'm sorry, go ahead, Jolly.
I say we were going to bring up PvP in the caves here in a bit, Frost. We should confer to you. I
Yeah.
think more
No, PvP. Yes, not PvE.
PvP.
He killed a bunch of us. I mean, he fragged the living crap out of us.
Yeah, it's
And I don't think he did it on purpose, but you never know.
Yeah, it'd be nice if there was a pull out the grenade and then they pull the pin, because it's not the first time groups of people have had issues with somebody, accidentally dropping a grenade. At least this time maybe you had a chance to run away a little bit, but like, in the back of a Cutlass or in the Valkyrie or something like that, there's not really a whole lot of room to go, oh shit, and run away.
Yeah, since that, I've actually been telling guys to in the key binds, you can actually set it to be a key double tap,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
they've
that would be a
been
big
loving
help.
that. Yeah.
The other thing that I've noticed that they've got to start to work on is I'm waiting for the community maps to come out, because these mines are big and massive and they're curly, and you got to crawl through some spots and and crouch through some spots. It's really easy to get lost down there. My only trick for not getting lost is basically follow the right hand side of the wall. I don't know if anybody ever told you about, if you get lost in a maze, touch the wall with your right hand and just walk, and you'll eventually get out.
Yeah, that's the trick I've used from the beginning, is just stick to one side and stay to that side, and you'll eventually circle around, work your way back out of it, especially with the way these caves are laid out, like Jolly said earlier. They're fairly
They're
linear.
mazes, no question about it.
Well, they're pretty damn simple mazes. I mean, for the most part, they're linear. There are some loops in there. I agree with you on that one, but
Yeah.
I mean, I've wandered down there. I have no idea where I am. It's like, I'll just keep going upstairs.
Well, just wait until they delete the oxygen from the caves, and then you'll start to have a problem.
I like that. Yeah.
As it is right now, there's plenty of O2 in those caves, and you can take off your helmet and you're fine. So, once they start, maybe medipens will have or oxypens will have a use, finally. If they get rid of the O2 in those caves.
I've been in a cave long enough to where that would have been an issue.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Same.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the reason I buy like 10 oxy pins and 10 medi pins and put them in my inventory.
Your bag of
Till
holding.
till we get rid of the bag of holding, I'm set.
Yeah, do yourself a favor and buy like 2 or 3 mining tools too, just in case you get ganked in the cave. You don't have to run all the way back to Delamar or Area 18
Well,
or wherever.
hindsight 2020, I need to do that. I'm
Sure.
about ready to buy like 4 or 5 rifles to have in my bag of holding.
Mhm.
So, now, just to answer some questions in chat, yes, Shepcap's audio is out of sync, and only the professional AV guy has problems with that.
Sorry.
We just didn't have time to fix it.
I didn't engineer Skype, so I can't.
Yes,
help you out.
we think the delay has something to do with the very expensive USB microphone he's using instead of headset, but he is an AV engineer, and I'm sure he'll have it figured out sometime tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
It's the first time he's used Skype, so for this.
Yeah, for this, yeah.
Okay, so off of that thing. Some other things that I was curious about are, I really think, and I'm curious to see what you guys think, multiple players in the cave. I think that they're required. I would not want to go, and maybe it's just because of my most recent experience in the cave. I don't know that I'd want to go down there and be in the cave a long time by myself. Thoughts?
I don't mind going solo. It doesn't bother me the least.
I go solo all the time.
I think the risk right now is minimal at most.
Yeah.
And I say I don't think they're difficult to travel around. Now, that said, the devs may come up with some really good complex caves in the future, in which case I change my mind. But go down with plenty of torches and just take it from there. But I haven't run across anything yet.
If you go to the mission
I have
caves,
I have heard of some of the caves that are basically a group of people come in and basically they're a guard to take for themselves. And so you can run across and fight those. But if you're solo, then say, okay, it's yours. Turn around and find another cave and press on after that.
Well, with that said, I want to introduce a video, just a snippet, and then we'll discuss it. I think all of you have seen this, but Joni's going to play it with audio. Okay, go ahead and pause. You guys didn't. Okay, hold on. They're saying they didn't get the audio.
Oh no, I got.
No,
the
we
audio.
heard it.
No, hold on. I'm making
we
sure
heard
that
it here. Maybe it didn't go out to the ether.
go back, Joni, and then you're going to need to crank up the video audio quite a bit. Yeah, that up a little more. Bring it up to me. Now go ahead and go back and replay that. Sorry, guys. Tell us if you get the audio this time.
Something scary sound in there.
What the freaking
Go
fuck
back
was
just a
that?
minute.
I didn't hear it. What was
Yeah,
that?
there's another one right here.
Corner right there where my light is.
Got it.
Okay, I think it was over here, Lacoste.
Oh yeah, I see the purple one right here. Is
Don't
this
know yet.
this the one?
I think so.
Yeah, it's loud enough for them. You might need to rewind it. The clip started after
No,
the
there's
growl.
another one.
Right.
Oh, well, he's on one.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, there's something scary sound in there.
We heard
What
it.
the
that one.
freaking fuck was that?
I didn't hear it. What was
Yeah,
that?
there's another one right
Like
here. I'm
Costa,
gonna
watch
break
your
up
language,
for you.
man.
Yeah,
Sorry.
seriously.
All
Okay.
right, I know. No, I know exactly what it is. Okay, seriously, my wife watches these paranormal shows all the time. Right? People go out there, a lot of green screens and stuff like that. Oh my God, something's come out there. But I know exactly what the hell that was.
What was it?
Somebody in your party was vaping.
Yes.
Somebody in our party
Vaping.
was vaping.
Yeah.
Mystery
Oh.
That's
solved.
actually that's a new mechanic CIG is going to introduce. They're going to announce it at CitizenCon. Cave monsters. It's a new profession.
Cave
My-
monsters.
My
I-
favorite
room-
part of
Professional
that,
ghost hunting.
favorite part of that video is where Lacoste is he's shot at it, the guy, and Jaglin's saying, I don't think he's here to hurt us. And he says, I don't care. He was wanting payback for getting scared.
Like Casper, man.
Oh my God. So I'm going to, we now know what caused this, and it is more hilarious than it first seems. But, going through and through this, I initially heard this stuff, and Lacoste is like, dousing kerosene in light on fire mode at the moment this is going on. I mean, he's just lost all common sense, won't listen to reason. He's running around like a chicken with his head cut off and his hair on fire. But, it honestly initially made me think, maybe this is some kind of, if you're down in these caves too long, they set up this thing to happen, because it didn't seem like a real person. Because, well, I get that.
That was my first thought, is like some acoustic thing they set up. So if you cross a certain area, you're there too long, the game creates noise, ambiance, if you want to call it.
Oh, well, that's what
Yeah.
I thought as well, and I thought maybe we're getting closer to the body, and this is something that plays as an audio cue from the body, like just to scare people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sick
And-
of the vaping theory.
Yeah.
But anyhow, the audio you're hearing is not in-game VoIP from us. We're on Mumble, so but this got me thinking. Initially maybe this is this thing, and because the person was in front of us and then it was behind us, and there was no way to get between those 2 points for a player, and they weren't shooting at us or doing anything. They had tons of opportunities to kill us. They were just messing with us. And so it was probably 10 minutes, 15 minutes into this before I realized what might be going on, maybe 20 minutes. And I'll go ahead and tell you the answer to it. And that is, CIG devs on Friday nights can be a little bored. And one of them decided that they were going to use their admin powers to absolutely screw with us for over an hour.
Phasing in and out of the cave, talking from different directions.
Joni, you have to remember to change screens every now and again.
Yeah.
She's losing track of stuff because she's giggling over here so loud. But that brought up this interesting conversation point that I wanted to have, and that is PvP or PvE in the caves. I'm actually kind of scared about. I mean, can you imagine if you went down there and there were a bunch of things crawling out of the cave to try to get you. Can
Cave beast's
anybody?
a good idea. Yeah, no, that's a great
It's
idea.
a great idea, but it scares the crap out of me now.
Yeah, frostbite spiders for sure.
Especially when there's like about 100 feet of rock ledge to mantle up to get out of there. I mean, that's gonna be
Yeah. It's gonna be like what is that? Pitch black, pitch dark. With,
The only thing
Riddick.
that, we're running through this thing, and the only thing that it was like, aliens dating my age. The original one where, or number 2, sorry, aliens with an S. Game over, man. Game over. I mean, that's how Lacoste struck me, as he had just checked out completely. And it was, there was no rhyme nor reason. I'm getting the bleep out of here and killing anything that's in my way.
Well, I think for him it was like 1 a.m. and he was in a room all
Yep.
by himself.
He lives in Europe. Yep.
Oh, it was probably later than 1 a.m. because it was like 9 for us. So it probably
Like
was like
4 o'clock
3 in
in
the
the
morning.
I had 6 hours or 7 hours. Yeah.
So what do you think, Chap? What are your thoughts on PvE in the caves? Are you excited about
yeah,
creepy crawlers coming at you and trying to suck your brains out of your helmet?
I think it's going to be interesting. I think they're going to have to balance it, right, or you're going to have to go in there with a big crew, or they're going to have to make the big reward, right, at the other end. Or can you harvest the PvE? Is it worth money? I think it's going to be cool, though. I think it's going to be nice to have something other than people to shoot at, But I don't think we're going to see gigantic space monsters. I mean, that just seems a little too sci-fi tropey for Star Citizen. But then again, you never know. Like, I don't think we're going to see a giant, spider dragon thing jump out and try to eat you. But
no
there might be some
sandworms?
bugs.
You're in
Yeah,
denial.
yeah.
You're simply in denial, Shep.
Yeah,
That's
fine.
The idea actually is pretty good. If you have a cave that goes down a good distance,
Mhm.
further down you go. We're not talking about mission caves, just a regular whatever cave. Further down you go,
Okay.
the better the resources are to mine. Further down the go, the greater chances are you run across some sort of a space monster if you want to.
Mhm.
We're not talking about some sort of I'm going to always lose type of thing. Just
Yeah.
something you pay attention to. Think of rats. All right. The idea of you can always beat them, you just got to make sure you see them in time to shoot them. But I like the idea of adding that aspect to it. And
That's a
if
fair
you're
point.
if you're playing solo, I'm going to go halfway down, do my mining, and come back out. Got a group with you? Okay, let's go all the way down to get the real riches down there, mine them up, and bring them back. They could add that to the game.
I
Right.
agree completely. Yeah, I think that's really. Nam, what are your thoughts on PvE in caves?
I'm all for it. I mean, it's a great environment for that. It's self-contained as far as it's almost like rooms in a way, I guess. So, but we've been needing that in the game for a long time. I mean, they've been promising critters for a long time. They teased them like 2 years ago.
Oh, 4 years ago.
Yeah, was it
Flora
that long?
and fauna. Flora and
Yeah.
fauna.
Yeah, so it's it'll just add more character to the game. I mean, I don't see any downside to it at all.
I
Yeah.
agree completely.
Yeah, and to clarify, I meant like you wouldn't see like Starship Trooper like bugs coming out of there at you, But yeah, like you said, like rats or some other little bullshit thing that can hurt you or damage your gear, even and stuff like
there you
that.
If there any, well, they're getting the AI combatants a little better and a little better. Like the bunker we did today, they will charge right at you,
Mhm.
and they're getting
No
that
fear.
better with each patch. Yep.
Yeah, they're all on slam.
Yeah, there is no fear on those guys. They washed over us like the bugs almost in Starship Troopers.
Lucky for you guys that they're still kind of dumb. So they'll just they'll all run past you in a big group like the building's on fire, and then you can mow them down. But
Well, it killed
Or
3
not.
of us out of 11, and we were set up pretty well. They just they overwhelmed us while we were reloading.
LMGs.
LMGs, yep.
Yeah.
You're going to have to start making sure that every fire team of Marines has an LMG in it from here on out.
They were trying to suffocate us with the pile of bodies.
Well, they almost succeeded. Because the reason I got killed is because the pile of bodies obscured the guy shooting through the bodies at me.
Oh boy.
So any other thoughts, guys? Again, if you have questions, comments, go ahead and get them started or have them ready to go when we get to the question period about caves and PvE. And we did do a video on the ADI YouTube channel. I'll release it on the Hangar Ready Discord. if you want. Again, before we switch topics, discord.hangarready.com will take you to the Hangar Ready dedicated Discord server where you could chat with us during the week, give us show ideas from time to time, or just ask us what the bleep we were thinking. So moving on to our next so we kind of try to break these shows up into 3 or 4 topics. Our next topic is head tracking. Important or just not all that important? Jolly, you're wearing one right now because of your setup. Tell me, clearly you think it's important.
I do. And the first time I got a Track IR, I've used Track IR5. The first time I used it was really for DCS, so a flight simulator game, and I found it extremely useful. Now in DCS with Track IR5, you can actually look, if you turn far enough to the left, you look 190 degrees to the other side. Same thing with the other, up, down, no limitations. In Star Citizen, I'm limited to 90 degrees up, down, left, right. But nevertheless, even with that limitation, it gives me a huge advantage. When I'm offset going one direction, I don't have to worry about hitting and holding down now a Z key. Instead, I'm just looking to my left. I'm watching what's going on. So I'm a firm believer in Track IR, or excuse me, in head tracking, whatever system you want to use. The one thing I will say is some people had problems when they use head tracking on an FPS type of setup, because if you're offset a little bit, then all of a sudden your aim is really screwed up. However, you can tweak the system quite easily that it goes back to center no matter what. I can move my head around, come back to general center, and it goes back to perfect center for me. I very rarely ever do I need to center up my Track IR5 again. So I play with it on all the time. Whether I'm flying, whether I'm on the ground, it does not matter. And when you're on the ground, if you're moving in a squad, moving along, and your responsibility is watch the left-hand side, I can move straight ahead, just turn my head to the left. I'm checking my side, make sure it's clear, go back, check my lead, make sure I'm not getting away from my group, go back like this. Now, in the game, you never see my head move. But what I see on my screen is 90 degrees to my left, straight ahead, 90 degrees to my left. So I'm a huge proponent of it. It's probably one of the best career fields you can get. Next to maybe a HOTUS. Would be HOTUS number 1. I'd say Track IR be number 2.
And if you're a Marine, Track IR is probably the number 1 peripheral. But, Nimidius, FOIP or Track IR? What's your opinion?
I've honestly haven't used Track IR. I've seen it used. FOIP, I have worked with that a little bit, and I think it's doesn't really seem very reliable. It's not something I would count on in a tight situation. It's definitely not something you're going to aim a weapon with. It might be halfway usable for looking around a cockpit area, and maybe even as a Marine, it could be useful. But I find it's more trouble to work with than it's worth, in my opinion. But Track IR is very well established. It's very, very apparently very reliable from everybody I've talked to. I've been tempted to get that, and if I was more into the fighter pilot side, I probably would already have it.
I'm going to be honest. I find Track IR to be much more accurate and much more reliable than FOIP, even with a high-end webcam that I have that is one of the better non-FOIP special $400 cameras. But a good camera. I find Track IR to be a lot more accurate, and it's, now I would say, to counter Jolly's point, to always have a reset button set on your joystick or your keyboard or whatever control surface you have, because there are times that the Track IR will get a little bit out of sync, but if you just look straight at the screen and hit that button real quick, it fixes itself in a fraction of a second. Yeah. Shep, what's your thoughts? Head tracking, good, bad, FOIP versus Track IR, what's your experience?
So I don't have a Track IR. I've tried using FOIP, FOIP head tracking rather. And the issue I had was, maybe it's the centering that Jolly's talking about, but I would pretty much have to hold my head like this to maintain a straight view ahead instead of holding it in a natural position to look ahead. And then, it wouldn't really track me quite, like it would lose me when I would turn my face this way and things like that. I see the utility of it, but to Nam's point, I don't do a lot of advanced flying maneuvers where I need to, be wing to wing with a guy and do things like that. Not yet anyways, I definitely see the utility of track IR. I think it's the better solution if you're a hardcore fighter pilot, and being able to look around very quickly is what you need to do. If you're more casual, I don't think you need to necessarily spend the money on it. And hopefully, face tracking will get better as we go on. And for an entry player or for a more casual player who doesn't want to put what is it, like $150 for a good
Max.
full setup?
Yep.
Max.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, Track IR is the Track IR unit itself can be found for under $100, and I don't recommend the Pro Clip. I don't think Jolly would recommend the Pro Clip.
Pro Clip?
Yeah. The
Yeah,
one that
I
Track
would.
IR makes.
Yes.
The one he's
I
wearing.
would, no, I'm not wearing. Well, no, I'm not really wearing a Pro Clip. I would definitely recommend the Pro Clip, not the hat clip at all. The hat clip sucks.
Oh,
With the
agreed
lighting
completely.
screws it up completely.
But
if
I
you're
wouldn't.
getting Track IR, you're not going to do a rig like I have. That I would definitely use a Pro Clip.
Well, but I'm saying I wouldn't buy the Pro Clip that costs $45 or $50. I'd buy the eBay knockoff
Yeah,
that's
we can
3D
talk about
printed
that.
for 20.
Yes. We can talk about that,
I mean, it's
but
half the price
Yep.
than the Pro Clip, and it doesn't break constantly like the Pro Clip one does. And
you have to mount it yourself. But that's easy.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
if you can use a Velcro strip to
Yes.
put wires together, you're good to go.
Well, like I said, I see the utility of it, but I think if you're a more casual player, it may be a luxury item. And I think that face tracking in game will get better to the point where you can rely on it enough for casual play.
I don't
look
think
around.
I don't think it's ever going to hold a shadow.
No,
compared to
I'm not
Track
saying it can
IR.
replace track IR. I'm saying for someone who's more casual and doesn't want to make the investment in track IR, I think it could suffice.
Enough. It might be good
Yeah.
enough. Oh,
Yeah.
there was one aspect to it that occurred to me recently. Whether you use Track IR or FOIP, is with now that we got the underbarrel lights and you got your helmet light, you can potentially you can direct those two different directions.
Correct.
So
That is true.
So that's one aspect of it, that an advantage of head tracking in the caves.
I agree completely. All I'm going to say is that out of the two, if you're a Marine, and I would even go for a casual pilot, because there are things like being able to, say you're flying a Valkyrie and be able to glance down between your legs while you're flying, or being able to glance over and check to see if you're clear really quick to your left or to your right, as a casual pilot, where FOIP or Track IR is worth the headache of getting it set up and using it in a lot of cases. I agree. Maybe Track IR is more for the Marines and the drivers and the combat pilots where they're having to move and they can't slow down. They've just got to go full bore. But for me, being able to glance over and look around, see, a lot of times I'm flying with Jaglin, my wife, and I don't know if she's gotten into the seat yet or not. And it's really handy to just naturally turn my head a fraction of an inch and boom, be looking over to see if she's in the seat next to me and we're ready to lift or not. So
Yeah, I found it really useful. A lot of time I'm flying a Valk, and it's a matter of doing a gunship pattern over the site you're watching over. Just turning my head. I'm angled at the right, proper angle of bank, turning around, just manning a pattern over there. I can watch the site the entire time. Quick check, make sure I'm not going to run into anything. Go back to watch the site. I just think it's a huge plus. And Jay, I didn't mean to mislead you. I do hit the center key once in a while, but the number of times I have to do it is extraordinarily rare. In fact, in today's mission, I've hit it 0 times.
okay.
And maybe how you have it set up. I had to be taught how to do it properly. There's a lot of tutorials out there. I can't say they're all very user-friendly, but once you get your setup down right, it's magnificent.
I agree completely. It's doing it right is the key, and it takes a while. You want to have a fairly big dead zone in the center so that as soon as you get back in the general area, it just centers
zeroes up.
automatically. Yep. So, couple of things that I wanted to talk about head tracking and FOIP in general, and things that I think personally, and I want to we're just going to go around the table fairly quickly and get opinions on improvements that are absolutely necessary. My top 4 list. Number 1, can't look behind yourself. In DCS and ARMA and BMS, I can turn my head to a point where I can peripheral see 120 to 160 degrees over my shoulder I think that they've got to fix that. Let's go just around the table real quick. Yes, no, one sentence answer. Jolly. What do
Yeah.
you think about that?
Completely agree. Now, that being said, I don't mind if the aircraft structure blocks my view when I turn.
Sure.
And I can't see, 120 degrees left, or where the case may be. So be it. I can choose a different airframe, or maybe there's now more of an interest in having more of a bubble cockpit like you find in an F-16 that you can see behind yourself quite well. But that's a limitation because of what I selected to fly. But I wouldn't like to think the idea that I can't turn my head more than 90 degrees because I just can't turn my head more than 90 degrees.
Yeah, I think that's ridiculous. Nom, what are your thoughts on that?
I think that's useful even for your non-combat types, because, for example, being in a Cutlass, you're taking off from Port Olisar, you're not sure. You think there might be somebody standing behind you, and you're like going third person, moving around trying to spot them. If you're able to look straight behind you, you'd be able to verify if the space behind you is empty. That's just practically useful to me.
I agree. Shap, thoughts?
I agree. You should be able to turn a neck as far as you can turn a neck in real life. I mean, unless there's some limitation to your head in the seat or your armor and your helmet that won't let you turn. If you're wearing a heavy marine armor suit or some heavy armor and you're physically limited, then okay. But if you're wearing a normal flight suit, you should be able to move just as freely as you normally can. So
I agree completely. Yeah, if you're a big
it
heavy
seems
armor,
like an arbitrary thing that CI has set in their animations, and
I
they
hate
just
it.
haven't fine-tuned it. I'm sure you do, but
one thing I want to bring
one
up
of those
though,
things that works enough and they just let it go.
because we're kind of knocking the fact that it has a limit of 90 degrees. I will point out that initially, when they implemented track IR into the game, if you had a helmet on and you turned to the left, you saw the inside of your helmet. That is gone. Okay, so they have fixed that problem.
They
That was
have
a
fixed that
massive
problem.
improvement.
Yep.
Yeah, they have definitely fixed that problem. But while they're at it, they need to give us the ability to look past the 90-degree mark.
Wasn't there? It seemed like back in like 1.6 or 2.0 or something like that. Didn't you used to be able to look behind yourself with track
It did.
IR?
Yeah, when they just implemented the track IR library, just straight vanilla, it worked. And then they went in and started trying to mold it into their FOIP library stuff, and that's kind of when it went weird. So nothing. I mean, just things that they need to improve. That's all. Okay. Question number 2, just real quick, guys. FOIP cameras, even the non-official FOIP cameras, are way too expensive. To my understanding, the best you need 60 frames per second and preferably 180 or 1080p resolution is kind of the low watermark for a good VoIP camera. Thoughts? Yes, no, should be cheaper. You could use cheaper cameras. No, you need to use more expensive cameras. Jolly.
I don't really have an input on that because I'm not using it.
Track IR rules.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a bad person to get a reference off of. My webcam is actually a cheapie. It worked fine, but you don't spend a ton of money to get results from it.
Yeah. You can, the one you're talking about, I think the most accessible one is the Logitech Brio 4K, which is like $160 typically. But I'm using a Logitech 922, which will do the 60 frames, but not the 1080p. But FOIP seems
the
to depend
922
more
will
on
do 1080p. 60? 922.
at 30 frames. It won't
yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Somehow, I think you can hack it, but that may be more than your average user can do.
Yeah, and it just it does pretty good. I mean, and apparently the frames it can do, being able to do 60 frames is more important than the resolution. So it does pretty decent, and even the 920, it doesn't do 60 frames, but it's a reliable camera, and it's good enough for most people, especially if they're doing it for non-combat uses.
I will point out that a track IR is a lot less expensive, even with one of the third-party head track, or things like Jolly has. A lot less expensive than a Logitech Brio, just for the record. $40 or $50 less expensive.
I would never recommend getting a Brio for FOIP ever.
No, not just for FOIP. If you have a legitimate business use for it, if you work from home and then sure. But I know the goal with FOIP is to make it so that you can buy an entry grade or lower grade webcam and, have the result you're looking for. Now, whether or not that pans out, who knows? I will say that CIG uses the Brio, at least in all of their demos they've done at Citizen Cons or in the studio. The Brio is their camera that they use. So that's kind of their benchmark. And who knows if the actual Faceware Star Citizen FOIP camera will ever come to fruition since it was announced almost 3 years ago. So, 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago. So
Yeah,
we'll see about that.
I do appreciate CI coming out and giving an effort to have providing head tracking to players that just have a piece of the gear they already have. They don't want to spend extra money on. They're trying to keep it on the cheap for those who that's the path they want to take. So it's appreciated that that's an option for players.
I think that's the goal, but like everything else, I mean, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should be doing it with what you've got.
There's it's part of the triangle: cheap, free, easy to use. Pick two.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. You only get two out of the triangle. Good results, easy to use, cheap. Pick whichever two of those you want, but you can't have all three. So, one of the things that I noticed with using the FOIP is the glitches, but you notice how we're all older here with the exception of Young and Chap, and we all wear glasses. And so the FOIP has a terrible time seeing my eyeballs with the glasses shining on them.
Yeah, and they had an issue with beards too, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Well, I'm baby face, so I don't have that problem. But I completely agree. Those are issues. So here's the question, just really quick, one word answer around the board. Track IR or FOIP, which is better? Jolly. And I know the answer to this.
Track IR.
Nom.
Track IR unless you're wanting to make silly faces in game.
Okay. Shap?
Current state, track IR. Hopefully in the future, FOIP will catch up a little bit, but it'll never replace it, I don't think.
Yeah. If you're gung-ho combat, track IR is the only way to go.
Yep, I can agree with that.
So one of the common questions that people go, I don't want track IR because of wires. So what Jolly and I wanted to point out is that Jolly had that same concern. He had this cool wireless headset that he wears, which he's got on right now. And he was complaining about being, where he was wired in instead of being able to get up and move around. And so we hooked him up with this really cool setup. And it wasn't expensive, was it, Jolly?
No, very cheap. Extremely cheap.
Hold on.
Now, what I want to point out is, obviously, I've got the sensor right here. It's bought on eBay. On the other side is a small phone battery, very small. Also, I think it was like $20. I bought off of Amazon Prime. Wasn't a problem. And of course, the
Joni, come to my screen,
the sensor
please.
itself comes across. I have the wires on top, and the wires.
Come to my computer screen, please.
Hold
on a second, Jolly. I'm going to show you pictures here real quick. I apologize. That is not the right screen. That's our notes. There we go. There it goes. It's good. This is the sensor. This costs about $25 on eBay, right?
$25 on eBay. I took a piece of Velcro, put it on one side of it, the flat panel you see right there.
Yep.
And the other side goes against the set of my headset itself. I attached it in there, pushed it in hard. I don't bother taking it off. That's the battery I use. Extremely small, very light. I can't feel it at all in my head.
And you use Velcro to attach this as well.
There's a USB
right?
attachment at the top, and the sensor attaches it to the USB. And that's it. So now here I've got the wires I just bundled up. If you want to, you could splice them and get rid of that. But I wanted the option if for some reason the battery goes dead and I had to reconnect right now, I can still take the wires off, plug it into the USB, back to the way it would be with a wired system. Now I use a an Arctic 7 headset. So I went wireless with that and wireless with the Track IR. So I can stand up, walk around as I need to. I got tired of tripping on wires and everything else like that. I will point out, and this is very critical, that a wired system, obviously, you don't have to worry about running out of power. You just make sure you keep your headset and your battery charged up. However, I found as much as I play each day, I only have to recharge the headset maybe once a week for about 30 minutes. The battery about once every 2 weeks for, again, about 30 minutes. So they recharge very fast. They're not a hassle at all. It's the same wire that recharges the Arctics, recharges the battery. It uses a little mini USB port to recharge it itself. And so I haven't had any problems whatsoever. And the Arctic 7 gives you an indicator on the power, whether or not if you're at full, you need to recharge, or you're low. I've never gone below you need to recharge. The battery itself, I just can't seem to run it down. It has an indicator on the side of 4 lights that gives you the strength of the battery it's left. I've never had to go below 2, and that's because I ignored it and I left the thing plugged in when I shouldn't have. But it's really easy to do. I mean, I like it. I like not being attached to wires. I move my head around, move around the room, be able to walk out of the room, still hear what's going on, be able to come back in and pick the game back up.
Well, and even in an emergency, you could. I don't know if you have it on the correct sides, but you could actually charge the headsets off that little battery temporarily at a pitch.
Oh yeah, easily.
So there's some cool things that you can do there. Good grief! I'm sorry. We've got something going on. Oh crap! Hold on. Dixon asked me to add him as a moderator, and he gave me the role, and it was the role of the person he wanted to get rid of, not. I apologize here, guys. Give me just 1 second. Dixon, I need you to tell me what your username is so that I can make you a mod. I apologize. 1 second, guys. Yes, I made him a mod because I said, what? He goes, make me a mod. And I asked the question, Twitch username, copy, or question mark. And he sends me the trolls Twitch username instead of his own.
Well played.
There we go. Moderator,
What can go
save.
wrong?
Okay, get rid of him, Dixon. Go after him, buddy. Go, kill him. Okay. Oh, Dixon, you got to communicate more clearly with me, buddy.
Growing pains.
Oh. Bye-bye. Oh, bye, Felicia. Oh. I'm only trying to balance 20 things at once. I'm trying to whisper to Jody about what to do about the board. I'm here talking to you guys, listening. I'm looking at what's coming up next. And then I got people messaging me on Discord. It's like information overload. So, but I think that we've covered that. Our final topic of the night. So we've covered, this is kind of our traditional setup. We cover something about the game, something about the technical aspects of gameplay. And then the third topic we like to cover is something about organizations in the game and organizational structure. And so our third topic for tonight is mission organization. Now, here's my 2 cents worth real quick on this as we get into this. Running missions, my wife is going, oh crap, what's wrong? Shap's been messing with his stinking camera settings.
I didn't touch anything. I promise.
It's all Shapcap's fault, guys. Yeah. Hold on. Joni's got to fix Shapcap. You have to switch between them and their main screens.
I'll just stay off camera for a while.
No, she's fixing it. She's fixing it. Okay. Lock him. Okay. So anyhow, I apologize about this, guys. We're way off base as we try to resize people's windows because of stupid Skype. Anyhow, long and short, mission organization. Running missions is not an easy task. It's a lot harder than people think. Lots of guys can run a mission that has 5 or 10 other people. I think most people, wouldn't you agree, Jolly, can do that?
Yeah, actually, and I think there's a good number of folks out there that could run large group missions. And I think if you have experience in other games running a 50-person raid or whatever the case may be, you could do it in our Star Citizen 2. You just need that experience doing it. That's all.
Well, but I think the issue is that not a lot of people have
that
50-person raid experience. You may want to just leave us on 4-person while you're doing all this. Sorry about that, guys.
He's going to argue a lot, so that's why.
Yeah. I agree. The only thing is that, where's my train of thought? Sorry. The missions, sure, there's people out there, but if you look at 100 people that played WoW, there's probably 1 or 2 people that ever successfully ran a 40-person raid in WoW. Out of all the people that played, it was this small itty-bitty percentage at the top that were kind of coordinating. And I think that there's a skill set that has to be reached there that only comes with practice, right?
I would say practice. Some people they're well organized. They have a problem getting it together. Some people don't have a problem taking charge. Others do. But I would say it's something that can be learned. And the best way to learn is through experience, trial and error, whether that be starting off with a 5-person group, then moving yourself to a 10, then 15, 20, 25, bigger and bigger. That's the way to do it. I will also say it's an important part to understand the game you're playing, and that should go without saying, but you should be able to know the capabilities of each one of the ships you pick out there to go do whatever operations you're going to do. If you don't know that, you're going to fail from the very beginning. So game knowledge is critical if you want to be able to organize and lead a large operation.
I agree completely. I think that's true. But one of the things that we want to talk about tonight is about how we break missions down to make things simpler from a planning and organizational. And that is flights and packages. Those are the terminologies that we use. And we want to share that with you about how we run the largest exclusive org and how we organize large ops. We did a large op tonight with about 40 people, right, Jolly?
Yeah.
And, so we have this terminology that we use. And so a flight is identical airframes, 1, 2, or preferably 3 or 4 ships, all in a flight. And we give them a call sign. And that flight is a self-contained and, doer of work, right, Jolly? That might be a way to explain it.
Yeah. Think of it as delegation. Okay, you have one person who can be in charge overall. We call it the mission commander. Is you've got to be able to delegate down for something below you. A lot of times we'll use a CAG to take care of the fighters. The mission commander will take care of the major ships. If it's a very large operation, you might have an operations officer who takes care of the very large ships. And really, the MC really talks to his CAG and his OPSO to figure out, this is what I want you to do. You guys figure out how to do it. I'm not going to nitnoid and tell you exactly how to do it. Just, this is what I want done. You figure it out. And then turn that project breaks down from either the CAG, OPSO, down to their individual flights or elements as necessary. Tell them what the task is going to be done. So I'm not trying to run 50 people at the same time. I'm really only running about 4 or 5 people. And those
Correct.
4 or 5 people are running 4 or 5 people. And delegating it down like that is the easiest way in order to execute some sort of large scale operation.
Completely agree. And so we build everything like Lego blocks, and the very smallest Lego block that we use is called a flight. And normally, let's say it's a fighter flight that's going to do something like a combat air patrol or an escort or something like that. It's going to generally be 2 fighters or 4 fighters. They're all going to be the same airframe so that they have the same flight characteristics and performance characteristics and weapons characteristics. And then we take multiple flights and build those into what's called a package. And so if you were going to go on a bombing mission, you'd probably have the bombers, let's say they're gladiators, and that would, a 2-ship flight of gladiators. And then you'd have some escorts to protect them from other fighters, and that would be, a 4-ship flight of arrows. And that would, and maybe you have something else, maybe you have an EMP or an E-War Sentinel in there as another flight, and those 3 flights would make up the package that you would go send to do a bombing mission. And so that's the thing that we really want to explain is, whatever you do or why ever you do it, you want to define Lego blocks. And then you want to build upon those Lego blocks. And for us, flights and packages are how we do that. We steal it from the military. There's no question about it. For some odd reason, a lot of us steal stuff from the military. Right, Jolly?
Yeah,
because
definitely.
They've spent millions and millions of dollars figuring out the best way to organize stuff. But the key is that having these flights, Jolly, you would agree, flights should be the same airframe and have the same flight and combat characteristics, generally speaking, right?
It is beneficial if you do it that way. I would not say you must at all times do it that way. Sometimes it's a matter of what is the hand that's dealt to you. You may ask for, I like to have a 4 of Hurricanes and a flight of fighters to go do this task. And I cast the members who could get together at this point in time, this day, and only 2 show up. I just don't have it. Okay, I'm going to go with a 2-ship element instead of a 4-ship of fighters for that in that case. So I would rather go with an element of 2 Hurricanes and 2 Sabres than I would 1 flight of a mixed flight itself. Let the 2 of them operate their own environment to the manner that they operate best, and try to force them all to work with the weakness and strengths of the other one at the same time.
Correct. And by splitting them up into different maneuver elements or maneuver flights helps them so that you can send a small group to deal with a specific task or to do a specific thing while the other group is doing something completely different but interlinked. And that's the advantage of flights and packages. Now, unlike Jolly and I, you were new to this kind of thought process. You've run a number of missions in ADI. And when we talk missions, we're talking 40 to 50 people. Right now, we'd be doing bigger missions, except the servers don't let us. Talk to us about kind of your first experience when we kind of shoved this down your throat and made you do it.
It is kind of like drinking from a fire hose at times, and when you first get the information. But that's the thing about the packages. I mean, it breaks it all down into pieces. You just got to take the time to read it, and I don't know. It's a process to learn and to learn to do this. I don't know how to describe that though.
But it works, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a very good way to break it all down. So because there's no one, you're not, like you said, you're not actually running 50 people. You're directing like 5 of them, and then they're following your orders to do, and you trust them to carry your orders as you're expecting them to be done. And that's reasonable.
I agree completely. It helps to spread the load around. Shap, anything you want to add to flights and packages and how we divide up head count for missions?
No, I mean, as an end user, I haven't really been as much on the command side as I have been on the follower side, and it works well. You have, you have your job to do, and you do it. And you have a guy you report to, and he reports to his guy, but it's all compartmentalized. It's not, like what you're dealing with right now. It's not one person trying to manage 50,000 different things. It's divvied up the right way so that things can get done in the way they need to get done and efficiently.
Some of the complexity that'll come into play is when you need to cross over lines. In other words, I talked earlier about, hey, I might have a CAG who's controlling my fighters, and OPSO who's controlling my mission ships.
You might want to tell people what a CAG is. Sorry to interrupt.
Well, it's Carrier Air Group Commander. We steal it from the Navy, but basically it's the guy in charge of the aircraft. Okay, think fighters in our case is how we relate it to. But you have the CAG, you have the OPSO who's take care of the mission ships. In other words, I don't care if it's a commerce mission. In other words, the whole E's and D's we're trying to move through. Okay, that's my OPSO will take care of those things. I might have a guy doing a ground component commander. I might have somebody else doing the logistics who's worried about my starfarers and a couple of fighters back there protecting them, or Geminis for refueling them, where the case may be. So I've talked to those individuals themselves, but nevertheless, they have to be able to talk to each other at some time too. For example, if I have Valks coming in to drop off Marines, I want to be in control of that Valk, okay, as a mission commander saying, you're going to be my insert asset. But nevertheless, the Marines have to be able to talk to the Valk pilot at the same time, regardless of me. They don't need to talk to me in this case. The two of them need to coordinate amongst themselves. So that line of communication has to be set up, good communication set up in order to control what the hell's going on. So I know I give my orders down, but I don't stovepipe it too much that others can't talk to one. The stovepipes can't talk to each other.
Agree completely. No question about it. And so that's kind of our little tip of the day or tip of the month for mission planning. And it's something you have to practice if you're in a little org or you're a little guy in a big org. It's something that you just start off with 10 people and you put together a mission and you go run it and get used to doing that, getting used to delegating responsibility down to other people. And you just go from there. And that's our little tip. Flights are Lego blocks that build into multiple flights build into bigger blocks called packages. And, if you develop your missions around flights and packages, your life will be a little bit more easy. That's my 2 cents worth. If poor Shapcap could sit still, he's getting ants in his pants. We've gone a little too long here.
Sorry, I had to get a new beverage.
I understand completely. So we had Shapcap on to talk about something in particular, which is CitizenCon 2019. So what people don't know is Shapcap is the reason why ADI had by far the best booth at CitizenCon 2018. And Shapcap has designed Well, without a
Very
doubt,
true.
it was very true. But without a doubt, he designed the absolute best Austin booth for orgs. It was better, no offense, CIG, than some of their vendor booths that were there. It was just top notch, and we've been selected again, ADI, to do a booth in Manchester at CitizenCon 2019. So, Shap, without going into any of the secret stuff we can't tell people about,
Sure.
tell us a little bit about what we should expect for 2019 and what are some of the cool things that we're going to try to do for Hangar Ready while you're there on the ground in Manchester.
Okay. Well, 2019, or I guess it's 2949 if you want to be in lore. We're gonna kind of carry over the theme we had a little bit last year of trying to make it look like we've actually got a booth that you would see in the game. It's almost like you stepped into the game when you come visit our booth. So we've put a lot of planning into that. I'm sorry, Joe. What was the second half of that question there? I got really hyped up.
I think we're going to try to do some Skype calls from.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. So what we're gonna try to do is kind of have almost a kind of like a game day atmosphere where we'll have kind of the Hangar Ready staff reacting to things happening at CitizenCon and then doing almost like, hey, let's send it to the field type introductions and things like that coming in. So we'll do some live streams as part of Hangar Ready from the CitizenCon booth and from the floor of CitizenCon, and maybe we'll grab a dev to talk to and get them on the stream or whatever. But the idea is to connect as many people to what's going on at CitizenCon so they can feel like they're there, even if they aren't, even if they're over here in the States or somewhere else in Europe or Asia or wherever. We're trying to bring more of that to you guys on the end of the, on the opposite end of the country or end of the world.
Completely agree. And speaking forward from our perspective, 2020 CitizenCon, we're figuring that it's in LA, not officially announced, but little birdies are telling me that's likely where it's going to be. I think there's going to be a bunch of us going, and I think we're going to try to live stream, if not from the con itself because of bandwidth concerns, wink, wink, nod, nod, but definitely we're going to get a place and have most of the people that you see on the screen today and a bunch of others to be able to stream, from a Hangar Ready ADI offsite location. So, Squadron 42 release party, maybe we'll have to see what CIG does there. Guys, real quick reminder, if you have questions or comments that you want us to respond to, go ahead and start getting those ready. We're going to do about 5 more minutes talking about another little topic that is not Star Citizen related. I apologize, but it's something in the news that I wanted to talk about for 4 or 5 minutes with the guys and kind of go round table with it real quick. And then we're going to open it up for questions and comments for a few minutes, and then the show is going to be over. So get those questions and comments ready. We've got, 30 something people watching right now and would love to have more. Do us a favor, tweet out or send this out on the other Discord servers you're on and have people check in for our next show, which will be next month. We don't have the exact date. Keep an eye on our Facebook page or our Twitter page. All those links should be down below on the Twitch page. So here's the topic I want to discuss just very quickly around the room, and I'll take the last word. And Jolly, I'm going to give it to you.
Oh, great.
First, because you understand the geopolitics better than most of us due to your former real life. But Blizzard and the Hong Kong protest bans. What are your thoughts on that, just real quickly?
First, I will vouch for Blizzard a little bit in terms of there is a financial aspect to this whole thing, okay? We have to recognize that. If you want to go ahead and slam Blizzard, that's fine. I'm on your side. But you have to understand why they may have taken the position they had. Do I agree with that position? No, I do not. I don't agree with the fact that they were not initially, and they have since changed their mind, paid off the winner of their tournament. I think that was a major mistake. I'm glad they corrected that one. I'm not real happy about the recent bans they've done down for people who don't agree with their position themselves. I will agree they're a private company. They make their own decisions. But I think in the long run, PR-wise, they better hope the Chinese market is worth what they're going to lose in the U.S. market itself.
Yeah. Nam, what do you think?
Pretty much he says a lot of the same things I'm thinking there. It's not exactly a new thing. A lot of people have seen this coming for a while, where this is going to be a problem that companies were going to have. The more companies got involved in China, they were already making compromises. I mean, the same things were brought up when Apple started getting involved in China about would they have to compromise some ethics in order to stay in that market. And yeah,
Yeah.
the thing is, was somebody said earlier today about just shut the f up. I mean, sometimes you can just bury yourself deeper into a problem. There's nothing right you can say.
Yeah.
I agree. Shap, what are your thoughts?
I'm not going to dissent from either Jolly or Nom's opinion on that. I think that if you've seen the South Park episode about China,
Yes,
it kind of sums the situation up really
It's
well.
beautiful. It's beautiful.
Of course, it's satirical and there's a little bit extra put on top, but I mean, it definitely kind of dumbs it down for someone who is perhaps unaware of it, such as myself. But to Nom's point, I feel like they're just throwing, aviation fuel on the fire, and they just need to let it smolder and burn out on its own. I understand they're getting pressure probably from China, but there are ways to acquiesce without lighting your fan base on fire. Gamers are usually pretty lackadaisical about stuff, but it seems like this has struck a particular nerve, even perhaps more so the loot boxes. So, we'll see how it plays out.
So I was basically in the same boat as you guys until today. I could see it from Blizzard's standpoint that, it's a financial decision and, here they're running these pay tournaments and they're, they're a private company and they get to do what they want to do. But today they went a bridge too far. They banned 3 different collegiate teams that are part of the equivalent of the NCAA for computer gaming esports. They banned those entire teams because they held up a sign in the stream for just a minute or two. And I think that's a bridge too far. I mean, you're talking about scholarship recipients at public schools that Blizzard has an agreement with to broadcast the collegiate equivalent of an NCAA tournament, basketball or football or baseball tournament. And Blizzard went and banned them. And I'm just going to lay it out there. Way, way too far. This just goes so far over the line is the reason we're talking about it today. I used to love Blizzard. I played WoW. I was a big Blizzard nerd. I'm going to be honest. I'm not buying another Blizzard game again. It just, today was too far for me. It's one thing to crack down on professional players who are getting paid to do this. It's something else to make money off of these deals with these colleges and ban and prohibit student athletes or esports athletes. I know that that's kind of a crazy thing, but to ban student athletes because they hold up a poster about a political issue that is relevant. I think it's just, that was just jumping the shark from my perspective.
Agreed.
So I'm sorry, Blizzard, but you lost a customer today. And I'm not coming back unless there's some major mea culpa that comes down the pike, personally.
Yeah, if this was a sports show, I'd be slamming Philadelphia right now, but it's not.
Well, we should talk about that. I mean, some of this is getting a little nuts. I mean, the NBA, and you talk about this for just a second, Jolly, then we'll move on.
No, but the idea that Philadelphia decided to throw out 2 fans that held up a sign saying "Free Hong Kong." It's like, I'm sorry, I see much worse signs put up, far more vulgar than anything that was displayed there. To actually throw them out of the stadium was ridiculous, and it's really Philadelphia, shame upon you. Actually, I shouldn't say Philadelphia. That's not fair. The Philly, shame upon you.
Yeah, it's not the entire
76
city.
is shame upon you. I can't blame all Philadelphia on that.
The city where the Constitution and the First Amendment came into existence.
Right.
That sports team in a public, paid for by the people of Philadelphia stadium that those guys get to use for free, kick people out because they were holding a little sign up.
Yep.
What is wrong with the country today?
Well,
there's my grandpa argument.
Yeah.
I'm
So-
with you.
I'm sorry, Philly. It's going to be a slap you. On
Well,
76ers.
but it's just too far. I mean, the bridge too far. Okay, guys, if you have questions, comments, concerns, just want to tell us that we're wrong about Blizzard, go ahead, throw them up in the chat. We're going to give you guys about 30 to 60 seconds while we bullshit some more about this. But
Yeah, send all your hate mail to Jay.
Delta.
yeah, I'm my own boss, so I can be like this. No one's going to fire me over what I say about the 76ers or Blizzard.
Me neither.
Leaf's opinion doesn't count.
So one of our questions is, do you have a link recommended ADI setups in the website for knockoff IR clips and such? No, but I think
bad.
it does, but they're better.
Clips.
Those clips, these 3D printed knockoff clips are much better than the real ones.
Yeah, let me try to find it. I posted it a long time ago.
Well, and we can put together something in show notes and put it up in the description of this video.
Yeah.
What do we think? Anybody disagree with that?
I've
We'll
got-
have a video up on YouTube, and I'll put links in there for all the items that we're talking about. Hopefully that helps you. Leaf says we're wrong about Blizzard. Please tell us, Leaf, how we're wrong about Blizzard. Another question here, and I can't see who's doing it, but question. Jolly, I'll give this to you because you have the most use of TrackIR. You use it even
great.
more than I do.
What?
How does F interaction work with TrackIR?
I don't understand the question, to be absolutely honest. You say F
When you press and hold the F key to do
the function
something?
key? Yeah, it still works. In other words, a lot of times when I'm flying along and I need to look down to push some button that's out of the screen view right at this point in time, I'll hold down the F, look down, and nevertheless, my mouse will still hover over the circles, the double circles that we always see, and I still interact with it, no problem whatsoever. So there's no negative I've run across whatsoever.
So there you go. In regards to caves, is there any plans to have mass mining ops in the caves in the future? I'm assuming for ADI. I think we could do a mining operation. What do you think, Jolly?
Oh, absolutely.
I'm really looking forward to that. We go to one of the big ones, we set security around it, and go mine the living crap out of one of the public ones. I think that's a great idea.
Jay's Ghosts.
Yes.
Yeah. That's
And
not Jay's
keep
Ghost,
Frost
it's
Zone
Ghost
away
Ghost.
from the grenades. Another question, 2 comments. The main issue with FOIP is accuracy and the lack of settings to configure sensitive curves and dead zones. I agree completely, but I don't see them changing that. So I think we're out of luck with that. But I agree, CIG. If you're listening, you need curves and dead zone configuration on FOIP.
Yes, please.
And the ability to center so that you can look where you want to look and hit the center button. That would be absolutely required. And I think the guys are watching these scroll by. Guys, any other questions? We'll give you another 30 seconds or so. And if
Jay,
nothing,
if I
Shep.
can, a bunch of guys were asking about the caterpillar artwork on the wall behind me. And I've got a link to the guy who did it. I'll put it in the Twitch chat. But basically, this is one of the images that we gave away at the CitizenCon booth in Austin. It was a raffle item. And I liked it so much, I had one made for myself as well. But the artist's name is Spoof Ghost. And I've talked to him and asked him for permission, to do these. And he's got a couple other Star Citizen themed ones as well. So, quick plug for him. Check it out. He does really good work. I'm not sure what the medium is, but it does look like watercolors. Maybe it's digital, stylized, whatever. But there you go. That's what you want to know.
Okay. Neon
thank
Samurai is also saying we should remember that it's not probably completely Blizzard's fault since Blizzard got by Activision, and Activision has some controlling or some interest by a Chinese company that it's really all Activision's fault. But yeah, potato from my perspective.
Well, no, he's bringing up a good point though. Tencent has got its fingers in a lot of gaming that's out there right now,
and movies.
Tencent is Chinese
and
company.
movies.
Yep.
Top Gun.
Yeah, taking the Taiwanese flag off of the off the
that's
jacket. That
garbage.
was pretty silly.
Yeah, that
Long live the
reference.
Republic of China, but
It's dumb stuff like that like they didn't have to do, that causes all this drama. It's like self-inflicted sometimes.
It's like, hey, look at us be douchebags.
Yeah, because we can. Yay.
Okay, I think that's it. Jolly, closing thoughts. Anything that you'd like to tell us about this month?
No, but if you want to do a track IR, a wireless type of setup rig up like I have, like I said, we'll pass the pieces to you. They're really cheap and easy. Now, keep in mind, you still have to buy the camera. You can't get out of that part. When you do buy the camera, just get the camera with a pro clip, or excuse me, not the pro clip, the cheap, that comes with the cheap little hat clip. You're not going to use that hat clip anyways. Just throw it if you want to. Get the rest of it, and you'll be a lot better off.
I agree completely. Okay. Gonna have to go to 4-way for Nom. Nope.
What? Is he frozen?
Heck?
It something screwed up on Nom. Sorry.
Way to go,
Shap,
Nom.
let's go to Shap while she fixes Nom real quick. Shap,
Ruined the
closing
episode.
thoughts.
Closing thoughts. I'm still, for me, jury's still out on track IR versus FOIP for my usage, but I definitely think both have some merits. Track IR is definitely the right way to go if you're a combat pilot. Looking forward to CitizenCon. I think we're going to do great there. Caves, big time plus, brings a lot of new gameplay to the game that we've been lacking. Now you can do something other than run trade, which is great. Run cargo, or fight bounties, which is great. And then, I think we summed up the Hong Kong thing enough without going too far into the pit of discussion there. So,
Okay. I got to keep talking because she's trying to fix. We're learning new things about Skype and how crappy it is in some ways. And I think Nom's having some technical difficulties where his camera is constantly resizing. You can kind of see it just do it on the screen. I think Nom's having some internet issues. Nom, what are your closing thoughts real quick?
Pretty much back caves. I mean, I'm just really excited about it. I mean, I'm like all players. I love to just take my time to explore an area. Caves gives us something else like that to take your time and experience it. I know that's crazy.
Your internet is flaking out.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, but your back's headed and the screen is resizing.
Yeah. Let's just put up a cat face or something.
Oh, that was
the
hilarious.
cat face.
The cat face. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm hyped about the caves. Head tracking, I'm probably thinking about going for. It's made me more likely I'm probably going to end up getting track IR at some point. And but I can see FOIP getting a little better, but I just don't see its quality ever getting to that level. It'll be good enough for a lot of purposes, but not for like aiming weapons or anything you need in a tense situation. I'm looking forward to seeing what we do at CitizenCon. What comes up.
After all the pumping up that I gave to the faceware and the FOIP, I'm probably going to buy a track IR just because it's useful. It's more useful than FOIP at the moment, and I'm, first world problems. I got to have the best, right? So I'll probably wind up buying one.
Track IR is the way to go. Okay, guys, I really appreciate everybody coming out and seeing this. Please pass the links along. We're going to be doing clips from this on our YouTube channel. If you reach out to us, follow us on Twitch or Twitter or Facebook or something if you use those things. And if not, follow us here so you know when we go live. We'll be having two dose episodes in November. One of them will be the regular show, which will last about an hour. The other is going to be, I haven't talked about this. I'm going to con Jolly into agreeing with me about it. So I'm going to put you on the spot, Jolly. We're going to do
Bring his cam up.
Bring his cam up and let him look. Look at the face.
There, by the way.
I'm going to con him into agreeing to this right here and right now. We're going to do a kind of Oscars, Emmys review of the CitizenCon presentation where you can get our take on it live while watching it in a little window with us. So, Jolly's looking at me like I'm lost my mind.
Yeah, that sounds great.
You're about to get latrine.
Oh, I got to convince him of it. He doesn't see the vision yet, but I'm going to do it, and I'm going to drag Jolly around along, kicking and streaming. So a lot of my vision is kind of crazy the first time it comes out of my mouth. But
so you're going to make Jolly be like Barbara Walters at
Marvy.
Yeah.
No, I think what I'm talking about is you watch the CitizenCon presentation and
Yeah.
you get color commentary live from us about what we think about it, and ooh, that's cool, or ugh, why are they doing that? So, but I think we're going to do some cool stuff in that space. So we're definitely going to do a show next month, and then we're going to try to do something special for the CitizenCon presentation.
Yeah, no, that we should
in
do.
November.
Something special with CitizenCon makes perfect sense to me too.
Yeah, and now I just got to sell him on my crazy idea.
Yes,
so, thank you guys. We went about 20. Excuse me. Apologize. We went about 20 minutes over. I really appreciate it. Would love feedback and topic ideas for November. Anything that you want us to discuss, send it to us on our Discord. Again, discord.hangarready.com. Thank you. Have a great month, and we'll see you in November.
All right now.
Yeah.
Good night.
Bye, guys.
Just go to bye.
Give it up.